Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
You used to. Yeah.
On Kurt, thank you.
You
Perfect
used
song.
to call me on my cell phone.
You know how much I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. Thank you so much for playing Drake at the opening of the show. Hey, everybody. Been gone a couple weeks. Thanks for being back with me and tuning in to What's Up with Kobylt and Friends. I'm Deborah Kobylt. Nice to be here. Kurt, what did you just do with the camera? It's like I feel like I suddenly went way back. Can you fix it?
Yeah.
It's
You were
okay.
cutting off your head a little bit.
Oh, I was?
Yeah.
Well, now I feel like I'm full body shot here. Okay, let's fix this. Okay, very good.
There we go.
How have you been?
I've been good. Just,
Yeah?
my pipe burst at my apartment. So I've been dealing with that the last couple of days.
Oh, no. Did
Yeah.
you have any major issues going on? Or
Well, it flooded our bathroom.
just the bathroom? I don't know if you're on a top floor, bottom floor.
Yeah, we're on a ground floor. So,
So it's not like you went into somebody else's apartment or anything.
No, that would have sucked.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Did you get it under control?
They're at my house right now trying to fix it.
Yeah, did you at least turn the water off so it's not going to continue or?
Well, yeah, they thought they did. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, only it was
Yeah.
on the top floor, and then it went down into the dining room, and then it went down
Yeah.
into the basement. So, been there, done that, and it is a real hassle, but
Yeah.
you'll get it fixed.
Yeah, you had your own indoor pool.
Yeah, I did, exactly. The outdoors went in.
Yeah.
So, I've been gone for a couple weeks. I'm going to talk about that a little later. I was in Southeast Asia, and it was a really incredible trip, Kurt, I have to tell you. It was wonderful.
I can't wait to hear about it.
I know. Did you see some of those pictures?
Yeah, I was looking at them. They look amazing.
I mean, we went caving, we were on elephants, but it was a very spiritual time too. We went to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, which was
That's
perhaps
so
my
awesome.
favorite part of the trip. Later on in the show, we have Kate Linder. She's actually in studio now. She's a beautiful woman from The Young and the Restless. But this woman has done more than almost anyone I know. She's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She's a flight attendant, an actress, everything. I mean, how do you do all these things? But we'll ask her that later. And right now, we have a dear friend to the show and dear friend of mine, Dan Lothian. Hi, Dan.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I feel like it's been a whirlwind the past couple of weeks, so thanks for calling in. Former White House correspondent for CNN and the co-founder of a terrific website that I love, Heart Beings, which is actually talks about what's going on in the news and what's important, but from an angle that is more positive. And I love this website. I can't get enough of it. I was actually reading some stories last night. A couple in particular that actually resonated with me. The Family We Get to Choose, Making and Keeping Friends as Adults. That was a terrific story. It was well written, and also hitting the reset button in your relationship. These are really good stories about the stuff that we all talk about at the dinner table or, when you pick up the phone and call a friend. And it's just good to read about it. You also talk about current events from a different perspective. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I mean, that's the whole purpose, that there's a lot of news there, sometimes negative in nature, really heavy news, important news nonetheless, because, I've made a living for so many years covering either politics or news. At the same time, I think to be a balanced diet of the kinds of news that people are consuming. And so to share stories that can transform people's lives, and I mean, maybe that's a little bit too much that we're asking for, but this can make an impact and help lead people through some important moments in their lives as they're trying to make decisions, they're trying to transition. It's our goal.
Dan,
people just a little bit. That's what we do.
Dan, both of us have covered the news for so long. Why does the news have to be negative anyway? Why do you have to turn it on? And it is always from a negative perspective. And that always bothered me, even just being out on the field and having a producer in my ear and saying, hey, make sure you focus on X or Y. And I would think, why to do that? It doesn't have to be that way. Right?
It doesn't have to be that way, but at the same time, it's sort of the story that's out there, and people always, negative stuff always People, if you go out there and you tell people about just the wonderful things that that are happening in the world, oftentimes they'll say, "Oh yeah, I can go find that on my own." But if you really want to grab their attention, you focus on that one. How did someone mess up? Or, what names did this person call this other person? Those are the kinds of things that get attention, as you know, when you're trying to stand out in the crowd in a very crowded field of content. That's the stuff that typically, trickles or jumps to the top. And
Look,
so,
nothing more obvious.
It happens in our world.
Yeah, nothing more obvious than Donald Trump. I mean, the stuff he's been doing has really been bugging me. And he just doesn't stop. This was an election that he may have been able to take, and I don't think he's going to take it anymore. I really don't. And I think it's his own doing. He's always so nasty, and no matter what it is that he's talking about, he's angry at the media. He's angry at, what does he call her? Crooked? He doesn't even call her Crooked Hillary anymore. Is that what he calls her?
Yeah.
And now
I
he's just...
think he pretty much calls her anything.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm a great fan of hers either. I mean, they're both, the choices we have this time around really are difficult, but that's a whole different topic. But,
I think
go ahead.
Any time that Donald Trump is, I think it's gotten almost past shock value part. Early on in his campaign, when we heard him say certain things, we thought, oh, this certainly is the lowest that it's going to go. This is where voters are going to complain and pull back and say we can't support him. But every time we see something else come along, and now it's the latest controversy over the Second Amendment. There was violence intended as Hillary Clinton, and always he goes right up to that line a lot of times and says something that really means what we all think it does. When there's to explain, they always pull back. Oh well, we're not letting people things in a way or a certain way, beyond the or
Dan,
them.
Dan, I have to interrupt you because we're having a really hard time hearing you. What's going on, Kurt, with the audio here? Is it us or is it him?
It's showing you that we have a poor connection quality right now.
From him or from us? Do you have any idea what's going on? Because I can barely hear him.
Yeah.
He's coming in like he's under the ocean.
Yeah.
Dan, is there any way you can stay on while you're calling me from another line right nearby?
I will call you from another line again and see if.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I really can hardly hear you. You're going in and out so much that you're more out than in. Because I really want to continue this conversation. Is there any way you can do that real quickly?
Okay, I'm doing that right now, and let's see what happens.
Okay. Now all of a sudden he's clear, of course. It's like going to the
how it works.
It's like going to the doctor and you show up, you're in all this pain, you sit there and he walks in, you're like, I'm cured. It's the same thing with the phone. I couldn't hear him and then all of a sudden he's clear. But anyway, are you calling in anyhow on another line?
How's that?
Oh my gosh, so much better. All right, hang up on the other one.
Wow. And that's my cell phone now.
There you go. You never know. See, the cell phone quality is just getting better and better every year, isn't it? Anyway, okay, so let's continue.
What I would say was that, every time that Donald Trump, at least early on in the campaign, we thought that, oh no, he said that one thing that's going to shock voters so much that they're going to pull back and say we can't support him. But he continued to advance. And so you're seeing that now with his comments about the Second Amendment and Hillary Clinton, the suggestion being out there, at least some, that there's this encouragement of violence by his supporters against Hillary Clinton, his campaign saying that's not what we intended. But we've heard that from the very beginning of this campaign, where he says certain things when pressed, either he dials it back just slightly or say, well, you're misunderstanding what I'm talking about. It has been an ugly campaign. It hasn't gotten any better. But the hope is that at some point, if Donald Trump does become president, which there's a good chance that he could become president, that he will be a little bit more presidential.
No, he won't. Don't you agree? At this point, it's fair to say no, he won't. And that's
that's a real interesting point, because I was talking to a big-time Donald Trump supporter, and I said the exact words that, we hope he becomes more presidential. And he said to me, but that's not what we want. We don't want him to be more presidential because look where being presidential has gotten us. That's a whole other argument about, whether or not you believe what President Obama has done or is doing has worked for this country. But those who are completely against President Obama are sort of throwing their hands up and saying, we'll take Donald Trump and all the risks that come with it because at least he's going to change things and shake things up.
Yeah, but it depends upon how he's going to shape things up. I think the more he speaks, the more it's obvious that he really is not prepared, particularly internationally, I will tell you. And those people who really like him tend to be more of, the blue collar workers, the people who are looking for work. And my question to them is, what makes you think that he can get work here, that he can get these people more jobs? I mean, at least Hillary has come up with a jobs plan. Now, whether it's something that's doable or not, I don't know. But I don't see any plans that he's got out there. And do you know what I mean?
I think that when you sit down and have, like I said, I had a nice long conversation with a Trump supporter, and when I asked him whether or not he says that there are a lot of holes, there are a lot of missing pieces in Donald Trump's campaign, he'll say, yes, of course there are a lot of things that we don't know. Of course there are a lot of things that give me pause. Do I love him 100%? No, I don't. But when they look at the choice between a Donald Trump and a Hillary Clinton, they see Donald Trump as a better candidate, not only to address some of their needs, but also to take the country in the right direction. I mean, granted, I think part of his appeal is the fact that Hillary Clinton's negatives are just so high. If you had another candidate that was much more likable, that was running a campaign where people weren't saying, you know what, I'm going to support her, I'm going to vote for her, but I'm not going to do it with sort of a happy heart. And again, she has her strong supporters or ardent supporters, but there are a lot of people who are supporting her who wish there was someone else in this race. And I think that's part of what's helping Donald Trump, is that the field on either side right now is just not overwhelmingly exciting.
But getting back to what you do at Heart Beings, you try to report things in a positive way, look at things in a positive light. With Donald, I don't think he tends to look at much of anything in a positive light, except for his slogan, which is, make America great again. But every time he opens his mouth, he seems to be negative about something, And that's a real turnoff to me, actually. It's a real turnoff. And I kind of liked him in the beginning a little bit, and now just the more he opens his mouth, the more he's pissing me off.
Right, and it's just like his address at the convention. When you came away from that, were you uplifted? Did you feel better about the country, or did you feel like, oh no, we're all dying and things are going to be horrible? And some people think you have to speak like that because the situation is so dire. Others, myself included, believe that when you have the opportunity to speak to so many people about where you're going to take the country, that yes, you have to be a realist and you have to talk about some difficult situations. But you also want to empower people. You want them to feel like, you know what, together we can make things better. And you have the overall tone has to be one that is positive in nature. And yet you're right. I mean, that's what we do. At Heart Beings, it's not necessarily about just saying, hey, you know what, the sky's always blue and the sun is always shining. Sometimes the conversation is difficult, but we hope that by the time you're done listening to a podcast or reading an article, that you at least come away feeling more uplifted than sort of pushed down.
Well, also there's some meat attached to what you're doing because, look, you've been a journalist. White House correspondent for CNN. It doesn't get much better than that, right? So you know how to report on issues that are important and that make a difference with somebody. And so that you are approaching news from a positive standpoint, but also from some, that matters to people.
No, you're right, and it certainly comes from a different approach than someone just out there writing articles or releasing content online just for fun. I mean, one of the things that we've tried to do, and it's semi-quiet over the last couple of weeks, but this has been summer where a lot of bad things have happened around the world, and even here in our own country with mass shootings or mass killings. And there's been sort of this undercurrent of fear. A lot of people, some people not wanting to travel or certain people not wanting to go to certain places because of what could potentially happen. And so that's one of the topics that we really try to address is, are you going to let fear paralyze you, or are you not, are you going to sort of confront fear head on and some of the violence head on and live your life to the fullest? And so we cover the facts of the story, but don't dwell on the fact that yet more people have been killed or some of the bloody, gory details of what has happened. It's really presenting the story and then giving you a way to deal with it.
Exactly. I mean, because that's true. You look at the news, and I don't care what you watch, whether it's local, CNN, Fox, whatever it is, you leave there anxious in a way, and you're not really left there to think about it. You're just sort of watching what someone else thinks, and it's fearful. It's opinionated. I think the way you're reporting on what's going on and the kind of articles that you choose to talk about and focus on, you leave people thinking, and to me, that's really important. And it matters to me. Go ahead.
And it's so wonderful when we do hear back from some of our readers. And lately we've been even getting some story ideas and people wanting to contribute as writers because they realize that there are so many for people to consume content. And more and more people are starting websites that focus on the positive. We know that the stories that are often shared on Facebook and other social media are positive in nature. In fact, some of the most shareable things out there are these daily quotes, uplifting quotes that will help you, sort of jumpstart your day. And so
I love those.
From people,
I love those. Yeah.
And so when we hear from people that, that those stories, I woke up this morning, I wrote a story, and it sort of made my day, or I'd love to be able to join this wave of positivity. That's always encouraging that we're on the right track.
Well, and because you can move forward with an issue that's really important and just approach it from a more positive standpoint as opposed to so hard driving, like what we're seeing in this election. Anyway, so what are you working on next? Because we're going to have to go in a minute. What are you up to over there at Heart Beings?
Yeah, one of the things that we're going to start doing in the next few months, once we head into the fall, is we're going to start moving into more thematic coverage. We realize that it's important to provide people a full range of stories. We also know that people like to sort of do a deep dive into a particular issue. And so we're going to be going with themes. Some weeks we're going to do, a particular theme on maybe children and violence around the world and dig really deep into that and explore it from all aspects and provide not only content such as written content, but also podcasts or even videos. And we have some partnerships with some other organizations that will help us flesh out these themes that we do. We're still sort of working out some of the details, how often we'll do that. But I think it will allow us to even add more meat to the bones. So people aren't just reading one article about something saying, oh, that's really great, I loved it, this really made a difference. But if they really want to find out even more about that subject, that will provide a full range of information on a particular topic.
I like that.
That's kind of one of the things that we're working on.
Yeah, it's more interactive, and I know you and I are partnering up on things. We always talk about that, so that's something else that we can. There's just so much to do, and there's so many different approaches, so many different ways to approach what's going on in the world, and I just love your perspective. It's very smart. And Dan, thanks for being here. I hope everything's going well for you guys.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Always enjoy your show, and always enjoy being a part of it.
Yeah, thanks, and we'll talk soon. Thanks a lot, Dan. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
He's so tremendous. I just love him. He is just provides so much great information. He's such a brilliant guy. And what's always attracted me to him, because he's been a very, very dear friend since we both started out in the business, is just how he really approaches things from a positive way. And even as a White House correspondent traveling around with President Obama for all those years on Air Force One, he was always a little different in his perspective in the way that he spoke to the president and did his stories. And I just really appreciate it. I think his entire concept is going to go really far. It speaks to me in particular.
I wish we had more of that concept, that idealism.
I know. I don't know why we have to turn on the news and it has to be so negative. And Trump in particular is dragging me down. It's actually getting to me. So there you go. But right now in studio, we have the beautiful, the amazing Kate Linder. How are you? Oh, thank you for being. My gosh, you are so beautiful. I walked into the studio and I thought, I walked in and I thought, no wonder why she's got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, Deborah,
what does
so
that
sweet.
feel like? I mean, I have to say, so you have been on the very, very popular Young and the Restless for how many years now?
Well, actually, over 34 in April 8th, it will be my 35th anniversary.
Okay, so you started when you were just born.
I
pretty
love
much.
you, yes.
Yeah, of course. I figured so when I walked in. But that is, just that alone is incredible for your career. If that's all that was written on your bio, I'd say, wow, that is amazing. But you have done so much, and that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, because I was so impressed when I read about you. I mean, all the things that you do. You're a flight attendant. Are you still a flight attendant and an actress at the same time?
I am. I'm a flight attendant for United Airlines. I basically.
That's a tough job right there alone.
It is. I fly on the weekends, some weekends, and then I work, do the show during the week.
Wow.
And
Do you get recognized when you're on the plane? Do people go
I
like,
do.
wait, what are you doing here? Aren't you that girl
I've
on?
had so many great stories, so many crazy things have happened. And actually, there was a woman the other day. She had this magazine open, and I was
in it?
I was. She was looking at it. She was looking at me, looking at the magazine, looking at me, and she didn't say anything. And finally, I said,
That's me.
"Oh, can I look at that? Because I haven't seen it yet." And she was, "Oh my God, I knew that was you." So I've had crazy.
I would have never put one with the other. I would not think the lady, the lovely lady who's my flight attendant, is actually on The Young and the Restless. I mean, that's just something.
Well, it's because there was one couple got on it, and the woman says, "Oh my God, it's Esther from Young and the Restless," and her husband pulled me aside and said, "I'll pay you $50 if you say it's not you." I said, "What?" No. He said, "I bet her $100 that there's no way that you would be here."
That's just a funny
And
thing.
I said, "Well, you're only paying me $50, so I told.
Where do you fly from? What's your route?
I basically do, just one day trips so I can still do a personal appearance that night or something. So I'll maybe go to Houston and back, Denver. Sometimes I go to Hawaii.
How fun. And then I guess that gives you flying privileges, right? Can you sort of go anywhere you want on United? Is that how that works?
It's a lot. It's more difficult than it used to be, but yeah. There are benefits for sure.
So, and you also, look, getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Do we have a shot of her when she got her star in 2008? What a great shot.
I know. I see. Thank you. I still can't believe it. I have to go there periodically and make sure it's still there.
Okay, I would. If I had one, I would stand on it and I'd say, "Would you like my picture with my star?" Because that's me. That's really amazing. I'll bet you know. Where is it? Where's it located?
It's
in
in
Hollywood?
a really good location. It's
Yeah?
7018 Beverly Boulevard. Not that I don't know the address.
Seven-
It's actually right across. It's right across from the Roosevelt Hotel.
Oh, wow.
It's right to the left of the museum, Wax Museum, and it's right by that shoe store.
Right by the shoe store.
So it's perfect.
Okay,
You
so
could
it's
go
getting
shoe
lots of
shopping
traffic.
at the same time and look at it at the same time.
Wow, so that's tremendous. And you got that because of your popularity on the show, of course.
I think it goes for all kinds of things, not only acting, but I am celebrity spokesperson for the ALS Association. I've done 4 USO tours. I give back as much as I can. I do things for the LA Mission. And so I think it goes for all of it, actually. So it's not just for acting.
Let's talk about your work with that's Lou Gehrig's disease. Okay, so how did you get involved with that? And you are the spokesperson, and from what I understand, you go every year to D.C.
I do, and advocate, and have spoke before the Senate Appropriations Committee, and so I do all kinds of things for them. Actually, my brother-in-law, Scott, had ALS, and when he first, I knew a little bit about it because there was an actor that was on Guiding Light that I knew also had it. But once he was diagnosed, I said, "Okay, I have to become involved."
You mean your brother-in-law?
My brother-in-law.
It seems like that's just how you are.
Yes.
If something's happening in your life or in someone you know, you just have to get in
I
there.
had to because
you seem like you just get in there.
You just and so that's what happened, and it's a horrific disease, which you're trapped in your own body. I mean, his brain worked much better than mine, but yet he could not move anything. He couldn't talk. Nothing.
What are the symptoms? What happens to a person with Lou Gehrig's disease?
Well, there's different kinds, and so he had the bulbar one, which affects you can't speak. But there are some people that have it and they aren't able to move, but they can speak. It just affects people differently, and it mutates, and that's why it's been so hard to get a handle on it. There's double the incidences in the military, which is
that's interesting.
An interesting phenomenon.
Now, why would that be?
Well,
you think because of the nervous system, because of what they have to go through, and the anxiety, and
it could be. I think it could be for the pesticides, things like that. Right. He was a heavy duty golfer. He was on the golf course all the time.
So you're saying what could have been in the chemicals that were treating the grass. Yeah.
But also I think stress has to do a lot with it. Well, stress we all know is bad for us.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to reduce that.
Yeah, I'd like to. When you find out, please tell me.
Well, I'll tell you a little something I discovered. If it sticks with me, it'd be great. I discovered on my vacation. We'll talk about that later, though. We'll talk about me later. But so continue. So you got involved with that because of your brother-in-law. Sadly, he's passed.
Yes, he has. But you know what? I'm in here for the long run.
Yeah.
And there was this gentleman's name is Andrew Fleeson, and he had ALS. And I give him credit for this because he said to me, it doesn't matter how many breaths you take in this lifetime, but rather what you do with those breaths. And I intend to use every breath I have and to keep going until we find a cure.
Do you ever have a down day because you seem to be a really positive person and you just keep going? And if a door closes, you seem like the kind of girl who could just look this way and open the other door.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm just like anyone else. We all have good days and bad days. And there are sometimes where I go, oh my gosh, this isn't happening, or how can I make this happen? But then I said, okay, this was a bad day, and tomorrow I just pick myself up. You know what? I read something the other day. This person, she said, you need to do something every day that you're afraid of. You need to, so.
That means I have to climb about 10, 20 steps. I'm afraid of
20
heights.
20 steps?
I'm afraid of heights. As soon as I get to the top of a stairwell, I'm like this.
Okay,
I can barely even, so that for me, that means heights because I'm terribly afraid.
Well, I mean, if there's something let's say there's something you want to do, or there's something you want to have accomplished, and you need to call this person to get it accomplished, but you're afraid what they're going to say. You don't know if they're going to,
absolutely.
That kind of thing. You have to make yourself
sit there and make that phone call.
And make that phone call.
That's a good one.
So every day, do something like that. Like I actually did an open mic last night, was singing.
Oh, where were you?
I was at the Gardenia last night.
Oh, that's fun.
Actually, yeah, and it turned out really good. And that was something I've been putting off. And I said, okay, I'm supposed to do something every day that I'm afraid of, so that's what I'm going to do.
And that's what you did. And you went to open mic. And what did you do? You did a routine that you had prepared?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I'm also a singer and dancer, but that's how I started in this business, but people don't know that. So, there was a lot of, brilliant singers there. I'm more of a performer than a singer, but I do.
Were you acting as a little kid? I mean, what were you like as a kid? And where did you grow up?
Well, I'm from here, actually. I grew up in Arcadia. That's all I ever wanted to be, was an actress. Mm-hmm. That from when you ask little girls what they want to be, I didn't say, I want to be a mom, I want to be a flight attendant, I want to be a teacher. I didn't say any of those things. I knew that I wanted to be an actress.
Because when I was a little kid, I remember once we were doing that, on the bus to school, little kids, kindergarten probably, and everybody's like, what do you want to do? My one friend said, I want to be a teacher. The other one said, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this. And I remember I stood up on the bus and I said, I'm going to be a movie star. And when I said that to my parents, they said, oh, no, that's a bad career. That's for weird people, bad people. And I thought, oops, I guess I can't do that. And, I'm in broadcasting and I enjoy it and I love it. But when I think back to those times that I wanted to be an actress as a little kid, but I just never went there, did you have a lot of encouragement? Or?
Well, my parents were always very encouraging. They gave me the dancing lessons. They gave me the piano lessons. They gave me all those. And they were very supportive. They went to every play I ever did. They went to everything. But they did not know, and back then it was very different too. They did not know how to help me. And they thought, this is a really hard career.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do. They didn't discourage you either.
They didn't discourage me, but I think they realized, they decided that if I wanted it that badly, mm-hmm. that I would figure it out myself. And so that's basically
that
what
was
I had
smart.
to do.
So they just kind of kept quiet. And my parents
well,
were
they didn't know
scared.
what to do.
Yeah.
I think if they knew what to do, they would have done it.
Yeah.
But it was very different then. We didn't have all these things. People don't have phones and internets and
maybe that's better. You just followed your instinct and followed your heart,
Well, that's the thing. You just can't give up. See, I treat this business, I call it working the program. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's just you do what you do to the best that you can do it. And you don't go for the end result because then you're just pushing it away.
You're not enjoying that journey there.
You do what you do, the best you can do it. And then things just come to you sometimes.
You know, but you've been in the business a good amount of time where a lot of actors and actresses have not been able to sustain that. What do you attribute that to?
A lot of it is just, not giving up. I still study. I've been on the show for over 34 years, but I still go to my acting class. I go to my voice lessons. I go to my dance lessons. It's a craft. And also, it's a business. I mean, they call it show business for a reason. It's the business of show. And you have to treat it like that.
So that's interesting. You're still always learning.
You are. You just, every day I learn something. Like being here with you. It's just so great. I mean, you're so amazing. You're so up and you're energetic and you bring me up as well. It's just every day, you get to do a different thing. And another thing is, like when I started on the show, it was just supposed to be for one line. And a lot of people wouldn't have taken that. And
I agree
one
with
day.
that. Oh boy, do I agree
And what
with
if
that.
I had said no?
Yeah, no, I have.
What if I said no?
I have friends who will turn stuff down all the time, whether it's a teaching job. I have a friend who's been looking to be a teacher. She finally got a terrific opportunity, and it was for part-time. I said, are you kidding? After all this time, and now you're turning it away? Because
It could have turned into full-time.
It easily could have, or that opportunity could have, helped her get another opportunity. Oh, I agree. If it's within something you enjoy, you don't turn a good opportunity away.
Well, you just have to look at every door. You just don't know where the next turn is going to be. Who knows what's going to happen? Like I did, I'm doing films, and I just did I just did Gary Marshall's film Mother's Day. And
oh,
so
you
sad.
did?
Yeah, so I'm
Wait
in
a
that.
minute. You know my Cars?
Yes.
He's a very dear friend of mine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very, very dear friend of mine. So I didn't realize you were in that film.
Yeah, I was. But see, it's towards the end of the film. Well, for those of you who haven't seen it, you need to go see it. It's a really great film.
Mother's Day is a terrific film.
It's a really good film. So it's not a huge role, but I applied the same principle. If I had said no, you just never know.
Okay, what did you do in that film? I wish we had a clip of that. I really do.
I know. It's towards the end of the film. So I don't give it. But you could, it's me. I'm watching this parade go by, and with my friend and who's Vidal David actually, and I just loved working with Gary, and I'm so sad that he's gone. It really affected me.
So
actually.
sad. People,
he was an amazing man.
I didn't know him, but everyone I know who's worked with him, around him, they're so saddened because he's really was one of the greats. Very generous, from what I understand,
very.
in terms of
And
his
giving.
work and giving.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I really
me
am.
too.
But terrific film to be involved
Yeah,
with.
so that's great. And I just did another film called The Charnel House that will be out soon. And so I'm
Wait,
doing.
what's that film?
It's called The Charnel House.
And tell me about that.
Well, it's not out yet, so it will be out soon. It's
Who's
sort of
in it?
like a supernatural kind of thing. So I can tell you more later. I don't want to tell you
that's
too
so
much.
neat.
But so I'm excited about that, and I did actually other films. And so you just why I brought that up is you just don't know, and a lot of people would have turned those roles down because they're too small.
Yeah, you don't do that. And one of my first journalism jobs was a story that absolutely nobody wanted. And I went out and I did it, and I was very interested in the person that I interviewed, even though nobody else wanted it. And I turned it into something to the point where all the local newspapers picked it up, and then it ended up on a national stage in the newspaper. And there I was just off on my way in terms of my reporting career based on a story that absolutely nobody else wanted. So I'm in your corner on that. I really
remind me
am.
of myself.
Yeah. But okay, I have to ask about this. You did something called Sex is Good for You, and you won Best Actress.
Oh,
What the
yes,
heck
it was
that
a play.
What was that about? I need
It was
to know
fun
about
because
that.
I started in theater and I love
But
I
what's
love
that
doing
about?
that.
I mean,
It's Sex is Good for You. It was a comedy. It was a comedy.
I mean, I read that and I thought, I want to hear about this. Sorry, I'm a little playful, so I always like to know about those things.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I did that a few years ago, and I'm always constantly looking for the next thing and other roles to play. And
You know what I loved about again, a tribute to your spirit, the Ice Bucket Challenge that you did?
Yes.
And you did it right above your star, isn't that right? You actually, I mean, talk about drawing attention to yourself. Do we have a clip of that?
We do, yes.
Okay, can we run that real fast?
Of course.
Oh, good.
So that's what my other big place.
Hi, I'm Kate Linder. I play Esther Valentine on The Young and the Restless, and I'm also celebrity spokesperson for the ALS Association. And I want to challenge all of those that also have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame to join me in the fight against Lou Gehrig's disease.
Okay. Okay. Wow. What was that like? I know a lot of people who've done those, and people have challenged me. I must be a bad person. I've never done it. I'm like, no, thank you.
Actually, I've done several of them, and in fact, I'm going to do another one this weekend.
You are where?
Because I'm
Why
going to
do you do
it.
these?
I'm going to do it right there again on my star because I've decided that I'm going to do this every August until we have a cure.
That is, so you're doing it for the
to raise awareness.
That's amazing.
And
has it
money and
been
raise awareness? Absolutely. I mean, they have come up with a gene now that they think is really helpful. I mean, it takes so much money.
A lot of money.
There's
for
a
the
big
research
event actually going on at Pasadena Playhouse this weekend, One Starry Night, I believe it's called, and I'm going to be participating in that. And it's Jason Alexander and Miley Cyrus. You know, so there's great things going on. And
are they in the performance, or are they working with you? Are you also in the performance?
Yeah,
or?
I'm actually being being honored, which I just found out I didn't even know.
Oh, I didn't know about this. I need to learn more about it because I'd almost like to go.
Oh,
that sounds
it's
incredible.
great. It's a great. You should contact maybe the Pasadena Playhouse or
I know
or
them
ALS
over there.
Association.
Yeah, no, I know them over there, and
because they know about it, and it's actually going to be Monday. What am I saying? It's going to be the 15th.
Monday the 15th, you're going to be over there. That's fantastic.
So they've done. This will be the third one they've done. It's a fabulous show. They have so many people, so many stars from Broadway. They put on it's a great show. Really
I am going to contact them. Thanks for telling me about that and everybody else about that too.
That's good.
So you've been married for a long time too.
Yeah.
It's like it seems like everything you do, there's a commitment attached, and you just stay with it.
I'm a very loyal person.
Yeah, including in this town, and I've been married for a while, but including in this town, being married to your husband for so long. So, do you have any kids?
I have stepkids.
You have stepchildren, and you've been with your husband for 40 years now?
Yeah.
How does that going in a town like this? And is he in the business?
No, which is probably good.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really supportive, and he's been there for me, and all through all the trials and tribulations. But it's like anything, I am loyal, as you can tell. And I don't leave. I stay. I've had my same publicist for over 30 years, my manager for all these years over that. And I think, to me, you just build this team. You have the team, and it's so great to be able to go through life and share it with everyone and do it together. If something isn't working right, then you fix it.
And how often do you work on the soap? How often do you go in?
I'm under contract, so it's just different every week. And, some weeks I do 2 or 3 days, some one, some none. It's just different what's happening in the storyline.
I mean, that's got to be a little nerve-wracking because, on soaps, people come, people go. Soaps have had a difficult time in general, just lasting. So what do you attribute the longevity of this to?
Well, our show, we are celebrating our 43rd anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
It's 27 years straight without missing, being number one without missing 1 week.
Come on, that's incredible.
Actually, you know what,
that's
Deborah?
Amazing.
We are celebrating our 11,000th show, and it's going to be. And I found my very first script. And it was I couldn't believe it. And it was number 2,300 and something. It was my first script. And here we are celebrating 11,000th show. And I saw my first line. It was great acting because it's something my family never hears. You want to know what my line was?
Yeah.
Dinner is served. My family never hears it.
Why?
That's why I'm such a great actor.
No. Why?
My line on the show was, dinner is served.
Okay. What am I not getting?
Okay. Well, because...
Okay, well, you're laughing. I clearly am not getting something. No, because
okay,
you don't serve dinner at home?
Exactly.
Okay, so I wouldn't know that. Okay, so you're not somebody who you don't cook.
Well, I used to be a good cook, but I'm just never home.
Because you're never home. Okay.
Yeah.
I try and do the dinner is served. I have 3 boys, and nobody ever comes down when I say dinner served.
Oh,
So
really?
then I finally have to go, dinner! And then still nobody comes down. I can't figure out a way to get them down. So, I
Well-
try to have the dinner is served thing, and still nobody comes down. So you say it on the show, and it doesn't happen. I say it at home, and it still doesn't
No,
happen.
I just teasing, but I'm saying I had to be a great actress because they asked me back, and I never said that line
Dinner
before.
is served. Could you imagine? Were you at home going, dinner is served? Dinner is served. I mean, just to test out all the different ways that you could say a line, that would be fun.
Yeah.
But, do you travel a lot? Do you do a lot of travel?
I love traveling actually, and but unfortunately, I every time I'm traveling, it's for work or business. I did do 4 USO tours, and I went to Afghanistan and Pakistan, all the stands,
Where else?
Guantanamo Bay.
That's
I was
amazing
in
to me.
Korea.
And what did you do when you went there?
We did meet and greets, and so I would go at Thanksgiving time, and it was so great because this one tour was in Afghanistan, and they said to me, this woman was at the gate, and she wasn't going to be able to come in for Thanksgiving dinner, and could I go see her? And I said yes. So they took me to her, and she was, oh my God. We took pictures, and she said, this is the best Thanksgiving I've ever had. I said, oh my goodness. I don't know. She did more for me than I ever did for her.
Of course.
I'm telling you.
But did they reach out to you to do that, or is this something that you wanted to be involved
I
with?
wanted to do it. It was. We would do these. It was kind of scary because we would do these combat takeoff and landings, which means, the helicopter goes up like, you can't see me. You can see it goes up like that and then down like that, so that they can't shoot you.
Wow.
It was an amazing experience. One I will never forget. In Korea, a lot of the military, they were able to call home, and so they would put me on the phone with their wives and husbands, say, they don't believe you're here. Can you talk to them? And yeah.
And now, of course, with FaceTime, a lot of the soldiers are now FaceTiming with their families.
Yeah.
You got to go
That's
back.
what's cool,
And then they
yeah.
can call home and go, guess who I've got in
know.
here? That would be amazing.
And then Guantanamo Bay was just great. And Korea, my goodness, being at the DMZ and people have no idea. It doesn't matter whether you're for the war or against the war, but I am for these men and women that are there so that we can be here. So the 3 of us can be here having this conversation today.
Well,
People don't get it.
It's the same with the soldiers that are there. Many of them are
Right.
not necessarily for it,
Right.
just because they're there fighting. They're there
Right.
because they believe in the country.
Right.
And they're there doing what they believe is what they should be doing for the country, which is
Exactly.
fighting. And it's very difficult. I recently talked to someone who came back from fighting overseas, and he is still having some residual trauma because of some of the things they were asked to do there. And it's a very, very difficult thing to do. And by you going over there and giving of your time and making these people happy, it really can change the entire mood of these people. And it really does help them. So that's
Yes,
great that you do
it's a
that.
good thing.
It's wonderful. Well, we didn't go over on any kind of mission like that, but one of my on my bucket list was always to go to Southeast Asia, and I've never been there. And I didn't grow up with much money and never traveled anywhere except the Jersey Shore. So we do travel a lot in our family. I told you we have 3 boys, and this year we chose. We went to Cuba actually a few months ago.
Wow.
Really
I'd
amazing.
love to do that.
Really amazing. And now, ever since we went, it's like the access is much easier. They've got nonstop flights going back and forth. But when we went in April, just a few months ago, it wasn't so easy. And then a couple of weeks after that, they started to open it up after Obama went. But this trip was Southeast Asia. We started in Vietnam. Kurt, do you have? I'm not sure if you know what's what, but that's Angkor Wat. We can leave that up. The first picture that you had.
Okay.
There you go. I don't know if you know what Angkor Wat is, but it's a very spiritual place. It's in Cambodia, and the monks have studied there for generations, and it had a real impact on me because of the way it's very Buddhist. Buddhism is a very big deal over in that part of the world, and I was just interested in it just because of the peace that it brings a lot of the people. So it had an impact on me, just a way. There's some of the Buddhas. There's Buddhas everywhere. So no matter where you go, there's a different Buddha. There's Happy Buddha over in there. You can see in that picture.
Wow.
And it just instilled a lot of peace. And I really enjoyed this. I'm not sure if the three boys got the same thing out of it that I did, but it was a really wonderful trip. And then you see those caves. Do you see those? Can you see those? Are they up now on the screen?
Yes, they are.
That was in Vietnam at a place called...
I want to go there, Vietnam.
Really? It was amazing. We first went to Hanoi, and then we went, we took a boat, and we did an overnight trip, and we went here, and we went caving. I mean, I have to tell you, I didn't even realize the caves, they were so deep, and you could just walk forever into these caves. Sometimes you can kayak into them. I felt like I was in an Indiana Jones movie. I mean, it was really, really an incredible experience. And then the third picture there, we went to, that was in Thailand, and the boys were riding bareback on elephants.
Oh, my gosh. How old are they, boys?
They're teenagers. They get along really well, so we were lucky.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they'll never forget this. How neat.
No, they're quite fortunate in that they get to travel quite a lot of places. We've never not taken them on any of our trips, so it was really a fun experience. But the poverty over there is just so, it's so massive. And, you know, we were on a boat one day in Cambodia on a river, and we pulled up to like a farm, you know, where they were, you know, people were living dreadfully poor. And there was a woman there who lived on a small little canoe boat with her 3 little babies. And her husband was off trying to get some food. And I thought, it's unimaginable the way some people live day in and day out. I spent a lot of my time crying. I cried a lot, and I would see someone, and my kids were like, "Why are you always crying?" I said, "You know, you have the privilege of visiting these places, but as a mom, just looking at this woman and realizing what she has to go through every day really just touched my heart." So there's just a lot of, you know, you go there as a tourist, and we try really hard to at least visit the areas that other people don't want to visit, and that was one of them. So it left a real impression on me. But there's so much good stuff you can do, which you've just immersed yourself in. And
you know, Deborah, the thing is, I feel so fortunate because this is all I've ever wanted to do is act. I had no one in my family, nobody to help me. And, you know, I take one step forward, 2 steps back. And I just feel it's so important to give back. And if everyone gave back a teeny little bit.
just like, look what Dan's doing.
Yes,
I mean, a guy who is a White
absolutely what
House
he's
correspondent. He's actually a man of faith. He's a very kind, compassionate man. And it's a no wonder that he would, you know, have a business like this called Heart Beings, because in his heart he just wants to give back.
Great.
And he's doing it for the good. And I can see just talking to you and just looking at you, you're doing it for the good. This is a business filled with a lot of ego. And you're doing it because you're doing good for people.
I mean, how can you not? How can you not give back? How can you not help? If I can make someone feel good for even 1 second, I mean, that it's my privilege. It's my duty. I have to do that. If I can make them smile for 1 second, that's so important.
So what are you working on next? You've got Monday. You're going Monday over to Pasadena Playhouse.
I'm going to be there at Pasadena Playhouse, and then I'm going to be doing The Young and the Restless, and I'm going to be doing something at the LA Mission in a.
What are you
about a
doing
week
over
or two.
there?
They have something for the kids during the summer where they're able to participate in, and they give them things and give, you know, clothes and games and stuff like that. I'm there.
You mean the kids that are living down
that
there?
are on the streets. I like every Christmas and Thanksgiving I'm there. And what I love about doing that on those days is that, you know, they're our guests. We serve them. Mm-hmm. You know, we wait in line, get the food, and serve them. And they're sitting down. I love that.
I have done that, and a part of me always feels a little bit guilty because I think, gosh, what are they thinking of me doing this for them? Are they wondering where I'm going after this? And I get to go to my home. And I almost feel guilty sometimes being with them because I feel like I should almost be living with them as opposed to just showing up for 2 or 3 hours. Isn't that crazy?
But you're there,
That's
Deborah, and
crazy.
you're doing something as opposed to
Doing
people
nothing.
that are doing nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
When it only takes just a few hours. You know, you don't know. It's like I received this letter from this woman this is several years ago. And she said, my sister's really ill. Could you please send her a picture for her birthday? I thought, oh, my gosh, it's never going to get there in time. So I looked her up. She lived in Smith City, Kansas. I'll never forget this. I found her number. I called her, and I said, hi, it's Esther. I thought she's not going to know Kate Linder. I said, hi, it's Esther, Young and the Restless. And So, I'm calling to say happy birthday. So we talked for a while, and she told me how sick she was, and I said, I know, but, so we had a great conversation, and her sister afterwards said, like her, the doctors couldn't believe it. She got better, and, she eventually passed away, but I was in contact with the whole family, watched the kids grow up, and all that kind
That
of
is
thing.
wonderful.
What did it take for me to do that?
But
1 second,
Yeah.
and it made her feel good, and it made her, somebody. It just, how can I not do that?
Yeah.
It's just,
So you're taking what you do and what you love and just doing.
I'm so happy. I'm so fortunate and thrilled, and I have such gratitude for the Young and the Restless, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in the position to be able to give back.
How lovely. It was so nice to talk to you today.
You too,
I'm so
Deborah.
grateful that you came in here. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being here.
Thanks
Learn
for
a lot
having
from
me.
somebody like you. Anyway, thanks everybody for being back, and looking forward to another great week next week. And thank you so much for being here with me for What's Up with Kobylt and Friends. See you next week.